What we're building today across Verizon enables the digital promise of the future. Autonomous vehicles, abundance of screens, adaptive environments, immersive environments, augmented reality, blurring the lines between the physical and digital, with innovators and developers everywhere, and broadband connectivity anywhere, changing the way we live and work. For 8 billion hyper-connected people, 1 trillion connected things, generating and consuming gigabytes of data, with the ability to quantify everything, becoming intelligent, predictive, and adaptive. All powered by gigabit speeds, deep fiber, 5G mobility, and seamless, secure connectivity.
Okay, good morning, and thank you for having me today, Carl, and the IoT Evolution team. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I wanted to start out, before I talk to you a little bit about where Verizon is going in IoT, wanted to share a quick story with you. Over the holidays, my son was home from college, and one morning he came downstairs and said, "I'm freezing." And so he proceeded to take out his smartphone and change the temperature and and the heat kicks on. And then he walks over and he's pouring himself a cup of coffee, and very casually he says to Alexa, "What's the temperature outside?" To which she responds, "It's going to be a high of 32 today." Much to his chagrin, he said, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be freezing. Let me run out to my car and get my sweatshirt." So he goes ahead and does that. And of course, as many of you that have teenagers at home, he left the garage door open. So my husband calls out from the other room and says, "Ryan, please close the garage door." Once again, pulls out the smartphone, goes to the app, and closes the garage door. And then later, I'm working on my laptop, and he says to me, "Mom, when am I going to see IoT in my life?" And just like you're laughing, the irony and the paradox hit me at the same time. We all have these rudimentary components of smart home in our lives, and yet we're going to see this explosion of sensors this year with IoT, and the common person doesn't relate IoT in their everyday lives. As we continue to shift our work and our play into this virtual world and reduce some of the friction in IoT, we will continue to evolve IoT, and it'll be a part of our everyday lives. And a lot of the conversations that we're having this morning are about how do we enrich that lives. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the challenges that are still out there, as well as some of the investments that we're making at Verizon, as well as our strategic direction. So I invite you to think about Verizon not only as your standard telco company, but more as a thought leader in IoT. And we can talk about ways that we can partner together to really change the way we live and work. So the first thing I want to talk about are some of the challenges, and many of you know these. You've lived and breathed them over the last couple of years as we have evolved IoT. And that is the fragmentation, the utter complexity that it takes to be able to develop an end-to-end solution. And those lack of standards are challenging for us because we don't have one way to do things. There's never one solid way to get something done, and there's always a lot of customization that needed to happen. All the while, though, we still have 3 main areas that we see customers wanting to grow their business with IoT. So whether that's economic growth, new business models that they're looking at, many of our customers are very concerned about safety and security. So the privatization and the authentication that we need to do in IoT, we need to continue to be very diligent as a group and making sure that security is there within our IoT solutions. And then finally, sustainability, making sure that we optimize the resources within our businesses and of course within our environment so that we can continue to grow. So when we looked at the opportunity for IoT, and at Verizon, we kind of looked at it holistically, and we said there's so many ways that we can play, but where can we make a difference in how we live and work? And we looked at this holistically, and we said in energy, there are 300 million meters out in the US alone. With our grid-wide solution, we could really help utility companies modernize their network so that we, the citizens that live in our homes, can really help to reduce costs, but also grow efficiency with the minimal amount of energy that we have. And then with track and trace, as many of you know are in this healthcare space, there are 75 billion counterfeit drugs out there. And with the new law coming out, this solution can help pharmaceutical companies track from pill to patient, as that will be some of the requirements that are coming. And this sharing solution, today we offer a sharing solution, and many of you are in this space as well. And that's basically the option where you can download an application and be able to share a vehicle, and we can customize that for your solution. And much like we're seeing a shift to this digital world, many of our millennials and younger generation really are changing from ownership to usership. So we're expanding our sharing platform to not only include recreational vehicles like bicycles and golf carts to commercial vehicles, where you can share those large assets with this solution. And then in smart communities, we're really making a lot of investments here as we see 100 million streetlights, for example. I think many of us can attest to driving around a city and spending countless minutes finding parking or being late for a meeting because of traffic, right? These everyday problems that are in cities, we can help them by creating more efficiencies within the cities and really helping people like you and I be able to adapt and get the data that we need within our own cities. And then finally, in ag tech, there are many ways that we could go with ag tech. What we decided to do was really be laser focused and go after vineyards. We can really help the vineyards grow and sustain their crop as more and more of our vineyards are becoming a commodity. There are over 1 million vineyards, and our ag tech solution really helps them optimize the land that they have to grow it. As a wine lover, that sounds great for me. Now, some of the investments you may have seen over the last couple years, right? We're really making a heavy play, of course, in IoT, and we're going to continue to do and invest millions and billions of dollars in the platform as well as in some of the solutions that we have. Our network will still be at the core of what we do. We're investing billions of dollars. We've got 90% of the population with 4G. We will be a thought leader with 5G. In IoT, we are making some big bets here. We've launched last year our Cat 1 network. This year, we're in the throes of testing our Cat M1 network as well. And so we will continue to do that. On the fiber side, we just acquired Expo for a couple $2 billion, and we will continue to make those strategic investments both in our spectrum, our wireline, and wireless networks. And then in 2015, we acquired AOL to really be more of a media play. And right on the heels of the Yahoo acquisition, we acquired Fleetmatics as well as Telogis in the telematics space, really to grow and help us with the mobile worker as well as the fleet management solutions. And then let's go back. In our smart communities, we just acquired late last year Sensity, which really gives us a lighting, video, intelligent parking solution for cities. And they already have growth in over 42 cities around the globe, and so we'll continue to work with our Sensity acquisition to integrate it into our Verizon assets. And then Liquid Wi-Fi was a smaller acquisition that we just did. They're based out of New York, and they are a digital kiosk to really help the urban communities be able to communicate via Wi-Fi. It's got E911 capabilities as well as advertising and wayfinding. So for big cities, universities, venues, we really can help them in that space. So now let's just talk a little bit about this digital ecosystem and where we see this all playing, right? So at the center of where we want to be, we've got our ThinkSpace platform, and that's the evolution of all of our Verizon assets will come together via open APIs in a simple REST format so that developers, customers, and partners can take advantage of all the assets at Verizon as well as our partner assets, which many of you are a part of. Off of the platform, we know that doesn't stop there. We heard a lot about networks today. We will continue to evolve our wireless networks, so whether that's 5G, LTE-U, LPWAN, and then of course I just mentioned Cat 1 that we launched last year or 2 years ago, and then Cat M1. We're very excited to have Cat M1 actually working in this building. So at 1 o'clock today, I invite you to go to Ballroom D. You can actually see it working. We've got a rapid development section with my colleague, Usair Siddiqui, and Brandon Hart from Nimblelink. So you can take advantage of that today at 1 o'clock. And then what you're seeing there is some of the verticals that we're going after. And we may have seen these ones before. You've seen smart cities, you've seen consumer connected home, our sharing solution. We're gonna continue to add data analytics where it makes sense for our customers so they can make real-time decisions based on the data that they're getting. And then we're also making a big bet in the drones and the UAV space because we think that that's going to be the next generation of communication being out in space. We saw a little bit with the Super Bowl and some of the photography that was going on. We really think that that's going to explode this year. And with these solutions, we really have evolved over the last couple years. We went from complexity where it was very difficult and many different partners that you needed to do to, let's say, have a connected home. And now you can go and do it with 1 or 2 partners. So that's good news for all of us. We're continuing to evolve that, but we have a lot more work to do as an industry as we really try to simplify that for our customers. We talked a little bit about the platform. I want to just take a minute to do a deep dive on our ThinkSpace platform. We invested millions of dollars in this platform really because what we're seeing is it was so complex to be able to do business with us being one of them as a telco, but also the whole ecosystem. So what we wanted to do was open up the APIs, create simple tools for developers to develop and customize their application. So whatever your back-end software was you needed to integrate with, you can do that right here on the ThinkSpace platform. So that's in our develop. You can buy dev kits and whatever you need to be able to start up your prototype for an application. And then many of our customers really need to manage the life cycle and the data analytics and get alerts and that type of reporting. And so they can do that right on our managed platform, all within that same space. And then finally, we are working on developing a market so that developers can quickly spin up an application and be able to self-provision it through the market, as well as selling some of our partner solutions in this market, and of course our own IoT solutions will come. We've got a beta out there today, so I encourage you to go on verizon.thinkspace.com and check it out. So I want to talk a little bit about our smart community vision. And the reason I want to do that is because all of us live in cities or are near a city and have been in a city. And when we think about the goal of our city, what we wanted to do was take a step back and say it's really about the citizens and being very focused on our needs, our wants, and our desires as humans and citizens living in these cities. What do we need to do? We need to partner with the cities to help them be more efficient as they want to grow out their own communities, and we can help them. We've got 140 million cell phone users today. So we can use that as a foundation as we try and help the cities, not only in their fiber build with small cells and wireless, they can then build out their sensors, have one dig, have the sensors that they need to be able to provide the cities with smart solutions like smart lighting, smart parking, smart traffic, video surveillance to really make them more safe and to make it more efficient so that when we go to these cities and live in these urban areas, it becomes more around the citizen and the focus that we need. And then imagine if we could have one holistic experience when we go to a city. That is truly our vision as it comes here. The city of Boston, we're working on. We've got down here in North Carolina. We're also working at some cities in California working on delivering this. So you think about Verizon and how we can enable IoT. It first starts with our network. We've got our ThingSpace platform, and of course, security is always top of mind to all of us. And in IoT, it's especially as more and more folks are having sensors and things like a connected garage or a connected thermostat. More and more of us are getting concerned with security. And then professional services, because we know there's never going to be an off-the-shelf type of IoT solutions. There's always going to probably be some customization that our customers need, so we have that pro services component. So I leave you with dream, develop, and deploy your IoT solution. Take a minute to register on verizon.thingspace.com, and we will be here all day. And once again, at 1 o'clock, my colleague who's here and Brandon Hart from Nimblelink will show you our Cat 1 working. I do want to close with a video that will show you some examples of how our customers are using the ThingSpace platform. Will you go ahead and roll the video?
We provide a web-based online platform for over 3,400 luxury residential properties in New York. Our goal is to create data that can improve the day-to-day flow of a building. We are piloting what we call our Aware FC Fitness Center solution at a large 300-unit luxury residential property.
This is one of our Aware sensors at our pilot building. It's using sonar technology and using a threshold that we've predefined. As you come closer, the light will go from green to red, indicating the person is currently using this machine. Both the resident and management is going to be able to see this on a phone, a tablet, or a laptop using the ThingSpace dashboard.
We're a 10-acre farm in North Falmouth and Megansett Harbor, and we farm oysters, bay scallops, and quahogs. Because shellfish are filter feeders, they gain all of their food from the environment naturally. So therefore, we're even more reliant on what nature gives us than maybe other forms of agriculture. This is the sensor we installed as a prototype. It has both regular video as well as thermal imaging. The thermal data that's collected by the camera can be integrated with publicly available data sources such as chlorophyll information, which allows me to know how much food is in the water and what stocking densities I can be growing my shellfish at. I'm not a developer, and while I knew I wanted real-time data solution, I didn't even know where to start. Verizon ThingSpace was really helpful because it allowed me to integrate this sensor very quickly and get it up and running within an hour.
When we looked at all the different options, ThingSpace really did fit the bill perfectly for our prototyping and testing.
We're testing 5 different types of sensors, 10 different types of applications, and it's just a mosh pit of creativity. ThingSpace really allows us to not only focus on what we need to focus on, but it saves us the needed time to test those applications out.
Time is really of the essence, and ThingSpace lets us run our experiments, get actionable data, and make decisions very, very quickly.